Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for being late. My name is Tirada Deshapongwarashai, the Master of Ceremonies of this afternoon event. I'm glad to welcome all of you to the Orchid Slingshot Annual Event 2012, from employees to family, the Secret of Engagement. Today, we will have two special sessions. The first part, engaging the workforce you can afford to lose, roadblock and solutions. We have our keynote speakers, flew directly from United Kingdom, Mr. Nigel Evans, the Senior Business Psychologist of Consulting Tools. And after the second break, we will have the second part, the panel discussions on engagement in practice with our special guest, Kun Kai Si Neung Sikhapian, the CEO of KPMG Phumchai Group, Kun Thamasak Jittimaphorn, the CEO of Green Spot Company Limited, Mr. Nigel Evans, the Senior Business Psychologist of Consulting Tools, and our panel discussion moderator, Dr. Tan Thamrong Nawasawat, our consulting partner of Orchid Slingshot. And today, we have an honorable guest from the British Embassy as well. Please give a warm welcome and a round of applause to Mr. Bradley Jones, the Director of Trade and Investments from British Embassy of Bangkok.
My name is Bradley Jones. I'm the Director of Trade and Investment at the British Embassy. And what that means is that my role is to help British companies succeed in doing business in Thailand. And I want to tell you a little bit about Consulting Tools. Last year, I was back in the UK, in Cambridge, and I met Consulting Tools for the first time. And I was extremely impressed by their professional and innovative approach to the consultancy work that they do. And I told the company that I thought that they had a lot to offer Thailand, whether it's SMEs or large corporations in Thailand. There is a lot of work, great work that they could do in sharing their knowledge and best practice in the kind of HR, talent search and assessment work that they do. They then came to to Thailand a few months ago, and I understand that as a result of their visit, they developed a partnership with Orchid Slingshot. And as many of you know, Orchid Slingshot have a great reputation here in Thailand for corporate training and consultancy. So now it's a real privilege for me to be here today at the first collaborative event between Consulting Tools and Orchid Slingshot. And I'm sure you're going to have a really interesting and insightful afternoon. So I would like to thank you all for coming. And without any more ado, I would like to pass over to the event organisers to begin the event. But thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bradley Jones, for such a speech. And before we start the sessions, please turn the silent mode on for your mobile phones. Thank you. To be the honored for this opening ceremonies, may I invite Kun Aphiwut Pimon Sangsuriya, our executive partner of Orchid Slingshot, up on the stage to give us an official opening speech. Please give a warm welcome and a round of applause to Kun Aphiwut Pimon Sangsuriya.
สวัสดีทุกท่านครับ ขออนุญาตพูดเป็นภาษาอังกฤษแล้วกันนะครับ จริงๆ พูดไม่ค่อยดีครับ Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming for this afternoon session. I know many of you are very busy, especially during this period of the time. But I truly appreciate your participation today. Annually, Orchid Slingshot would normally host this kind of event to thank our customers for their business and their referrals. This year again, we do the same kind of event, but a little bit more special. As you have heard that we have a new partner from UK, and I feel very honored to have Nigel Evans, He came here specifically for this particular event. He just arrived after midnight last night, so I think he's still awake. All right, today topic is very relevant to the current business challenge. We talk about secret of engagement, and you will see that from now on become more and more talent war will be more intense, I think. In next 3 years, we will open up our countries for AEC. Some see that as an opportunity, some see that as the threat. But I think one thing for sure is that many organizations will start losing their key talents much easily. Okay? Many talent people who tend to have freedom to go and work overseas. Secondly, in next 5 or 6 years from now, there are a great number of senior executives, especially in C-level, retiring from the organization. And many organizations are facing the same challenge, which is they have people very talented at the top and people at very low, middle to low level. But they lack of the people who can immediately succeed the senior position. So there will be a lot of movement all around, and there required a lot of replacement in many organizations. Apart from that, recent survey from an educational institute revealed that the young workers, to be specific, Gen Y, they intend to work in an organization not more than 4 years on average. So you can see that more and more importantly, the talent in the organization will become very difficult to retain. Okay? So I think the winner in the game will be the organization who can recruit, develop, and retain talent or the right people in the organization. And I think you will learn some secret from the session today, both the first session from Nigel and the panel discussion. And also I think it would be good for you as well if you have any questions. So please prepare the question. We spare some time in the afternoon session to answer your question. The panelists might not have the answer for you, but I believe that they can share some success and failure, and you can learn from them as well. So I hope that you would enjoy this session. So I ask you to sit back, relax, don't be serious, enjoy yourself, network with people next to you. And I think one thing we can learn is we're learning by sharing. Okay? So once again, thank you for spending time with us this afternoon. And last but not least, I have to thank all my staff who are standing all over the room here. They, not me, make this event happen. They have been working very hard. They stay up late. Everything you have seen here, we haven't done any outsourcing. We do it ourselves. So please join me, give them a round of applause to appreciate their hard working. All right, and thank you. Enjoy the session.
Thank you very much, Kun Apibut Pimonsang Surya, for a great opening speech. And now, the first session of this afternoon's that we are looking forward to, Engaging the Workforce You Can't Afford to Lose, Roadblock and Solution by Mr. Nigel Evans, the Senior Business Psychologist of Consulting Tools. Mr. Nigel is a business psychologist and has more than 20 years' experience providing leading consulting service to companies in the United Kingdom and internationally. His career to date has included extensive consulting, training, research, and coaching role, working in middle to senior levels. Please give the warm welcomes and a round of applause to Mr. Nigel Evans.
Sawadee-ka. That's it in Thai, I'm afraid. And I don't even know if I got that one right, so please forgive me on that. It is fantastic to see this many people. I sometimes run events in London, and it's sometimes like a little bit of a block here. Well, this is fantastic to see so many people, so much interest to hear what I and other esteemed members have to say. I do quite like walking around a bit, so please forgive me if that distracts you, but I'm sort of quite excited about what we have to offer today. It's a topic, I suppose, that grabs a number of people very, very quickly because of engagement. If we have engaged people, they work harder, they work longer, and they stay with the company for a good deal of time, and we get better production and performance out of them. Which means, at the end of the day, better revenues and better profits. So you probably have come to the session and have seen some headlines, some buzzwords on engagement. And here's a few that I picked out at random from some of the HR and business press. And you'll see on the slide there different ways and means of getting it. Sometimes as a call to action, you must get people engaged. Other times, we must compete, find, develop, retain the best talent. The one that caught my eye was this one here. Cost of replacement of highly skilled workers and those in leadership roles can run into 200%. 200% of the employee's salary. And then you have to add on the costs of losing a valued person, sometimes to competitors. I'm a psychologist by trade, as our MC had kindly given my portfolio out. But the reason I wanted into psychology is because I wanted to see and make a difference to people and people in business. And some of the sort of facts that we have, some of the issues that we need to address, and some of the solutions that I'll be offering all fit into that very practical business benefit. So we'll be showing you lots of bits of research, sometimes from a very business perspective, a consulting perspective, other times very much a psychological perspective. But the two intermingle, they intertwine together to make us sure and clear that if we offer solutions, if we offer tools, if we put the consultancy in and support a business, we know that there will be a greater effect. Otherwise, we run the risk of just, if you like, the emperor's new clothes. This is just another buzzword. It's another fad, and something else happens, and another word comes along, and everybody gravitates to that. So, I think this one here, the incentive for selecting and retaining talent, is of enormous importance to you if you're an employer, or if you're a consultant for a firm, or internal or external, helping people structure, understand themselves better, and perform it to the best of their abilities. In terms of viewpoints on engagement, there's a number of different people have different views, different words. A positive, fulfilling, effective motivational state of work-related well-being. And I thought, well, okay, that's a little bit top line, top level. What else can we find out? And I looked at a number of other people, some people collaborating together, so looking at not only just how people feel, but what they do. And there's academics, but there's also the consultancy point of view, which is suggesting that people are motivated by doing their best work. So the theory goes, anyway, that if you have people feeling good in their business, in your business, then they will perform better. That's the theory, anyway, as it goes. What I will interestingly show you is there are different ways and mechanisms and things you need to dig deeper to make sure that that theory comes into practice. So a lot of people get hung up on this idea. Is engagement a state? That is, feeling good, feeling positive, feeling motivated, feeling energized? Or is it something that impacts behavior positively, or it's actually the behavior itself? So actually, you see engagement not by feeling good, you see engagement by behavior. People are actually staying longer, working harder, feeling good, feeling involved, team working, focusing, making sure that they do the right thing thoroughly and effectively. Well, what I've looked at in the research literature is the focus of engagement usually rests on two P's. Yeah? The first one being psychological states, that is the feeling good, feeling energetic, involved, committed, satisfied, feeling bad in terms of burnout, stress, and then looking at perceptions, perceived justice and empowerment. What usually happens on engagement is people say, here's the state, and then we have some performance behavior. So what we're looking at is saying, okay, people involved in the company, the Americans may call it organizational citizenship. I think you've got a lovely, lovely title of family, but it's pretty much the same thing, feeling part of one and doing the right thing, best thing together. And all these other behaviors seem to follow suit. Sorry. What is missing in a lot of the research on engagement is this middle section here. And if I was to retitle this session, I do it again, I would say that personality is the missing link in engagement. More of that later. So if you look at engagement, you may have seen something like this before. Idea is that if you do a survey with people's attitudes and thoughts and feelings in the organization, that survey seems to reveal 4 different types of people in your organization. And it is the same 4 types of people regardless of what organization it may be, whether it be a public sector, private sector, an Asian business, an American business, a manufacturing business, a bank. It doesn't matter what industry, area, or culture, there seems to be this whole group of people here who are engaged. Those are the ones that are, as you see, building the business. These ones here are enrolled. That is to say they're feeling okay and they're getting on with things, they're not being destructive. There's the group here which is called ambivalent. And interesting, you actually don't see a person here because sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. They're the people that perhaps are not putting the full effort in. They may not be, in some of the research I've looked at, actually showing up fully on time or taking days off. And here's the ones that are quite literally at the bottom end here, being disengaged. And as you see there, that can lead to very destructive behaviors in business. We have a saying, in UK anyway, particularly with engineering companies, that these are the sort of people, yeah, especially in the manufacturing business, who may throw a spanner in the works. So the machine's working and somebody throws a spanner in, very literally, in that way, to actually mess up the production. And in a business, how can you afford to have these people? In a business, how can you afford to lose these people? And the idea is that with engagement practices, with surveys, with things like 360-degree feedback, with leadership processes helped by personality profiling, you can actually do the shift in the balance here. So the actual percentages go more towards the upside. You can never get everybody engaged, fully engaged, but you can move the percentages in your favor. And one thing is actually very, very clear, is that people who are engaged, if they're not getting what they want out of the role or the company they're on at the moment, they do go elsewhere. Yeah? So there's an aspect of having engaged people fully focused and keeping them fully focused. It's not just one project for one term, for one quarter, for 1 year. It's a continuing and ongoing process. Here, we have people that are, in fact, the ones, if you like, that are really the ones that do need some attention. And there's an interesting sort of fact in turnover, because not all turnover is bad. So not all staff turnover is bad. If the staff turnover is here, fantastic. If the staff turnover is here with the high performers, then it's very difficult. And that's engagement that you need to help pull the whole thing together. So, you hear a lot about the weather. And I hear people talk about the weather quite often in England. They also talk about the weather, I understand, in Thailand as well. I hear about floods they were talking about, yeah? So I did a couple of examples of weather examples to link with engagement. The first one here is on really engagement is a barometer of health. That is to say that, okay, it's not exactly you have highly engaged people and you have equally high in performance, but it is going that direction. You're going further and further towards being a high productive company, having superior results, better quality, efficiency, and customer outcomes, and having a competitive advantage in terms of talent strategy. We know that those are the outcomes. Those are the actual clear and practical and raw and sometimes very blunt reactions and organizational effects of having high engagement. So is engagement the same throughout the world? Do you think there may be something different in Asia as there is in other countries, and other continents? Well, another weather example. Let's have a temperature check on where engagement is around the world. As you see, these lines going across here give global trends. So that is to say that if we were to monitor engagement scores going across different cultures, across different regional areas, and across different years, you see that there are some trends very clearly going through. I've actually rescored this, and not rescored it, or relabeled this, so you can actually clearly see that in terms of engagement, that the only lower continuous engaged area, apart from Asia, is actually Europe, which was an interesting finding from me. I think we have a power outage. Look at the trends that we go through here, yeah? And as you see, Europe towards the bottom, Asia, global coming through, we have North America, and interestingly, we have Latin America down there. So there is some consistency going along here, but the consistency is still at the same level. How could we raise this a bit more? How we could raise this, it would actually be by, so I'll tell you what, we have a bit of improvisation here whilst we get the power situation back together. If you can have a look to see if you can get the slide back, I can go into another section. If you look at your packs, yeah? So if everybody has I think it's a pack on the table. Have you got that? The pack, yeah? I'll come down to have a look. Yeah, perfect, perfect. Here we go. We've got a pack in here, yeah? So if we have a look at the pack that we have here, yeah? What we tend to find is, yeah, that one there. Okay. Yes. I was going to do this later on in the talk, but could have a look at this now, yeah? Personality, yeah? So this one here, if you have a look at a personal profile, and this is the circle that we have here, yeah? And if you look at the circle, what we tend to find here in whatever research you have is that there seems to be 5 major factors of personality. And this helps us with engagement because everyone is different. Everyone is slightly different. And if we know where we are to start with, then we can actually then build a model of saying, well, how similar or different am I from my colleague or my boss or anybody else that I might work with. And it's found that people who are seemingly more engaged in a company know themselves and actually know their people better. So, as we get something together here, I'll continue on this line here, is that if we have a look here at the model, okay, that we have here, is to have a guess. I'd like you to have a guess at where you might be on these 5 different dimensions. Yeah? So rather than just guessing and pinning a point in there, I'll go through a little bit with you just to understand. As you see, there's a 1 to 10 scale on this particular circle.